Thank you to the Writers Guild for inviting me to read this year, and thank you all for listening. While I'm thinking of, I want to say how much we miss Jason Ammer. And my life is just so exciting. The big event this year was the eclipse, of course. So an eclipse poem, but a friend who went to school down here had an after party, and so this is at the Wolf after party. Let's do some of these things. At the Wolf after party after the eclipse. Blinded by darkness inside of the Wolf house, we find our way through to the wood deck out back, past the blur of koi pond and Buddha statue. An image clears of a couple dressed in brilliant white, their clothes perfectly suited for the French Riviera. Paris and Catherine, who both say Baker's Keyboard Lounge in Detroit is the oldest running jazz club in the world. I say I'm more of a Yoshi's by the Bay man, or the KC clubs, the Phoenix, the Blue Room, the dirtier the better, which leaves Lena uneasy. So I mentioned foxes were domesticated eons ago. Their bones found in human graves, often as pets buried with small girls. And why not? I read The Little Prince in French when I knew a word or two, and Japanese when I spoke in tongues. So I know a fox on a small planet is a good friend to have. A few hours earlier, in the 4 loony minutes of totality, a paint and a bleached bay mare went into their barn out on Buck Creek, thinking the day was over. While a dome of night settled over us like a midnight mushroom, the temperature dropping at least 5 degrees centigrade since I listened to the BBC overnight, if I can't find Brubeck or Schumann. Much cooler in the shade here under the century silver maple, but the rim of the horizon was light, like a white petticoat showing from beneath a gown. I was editing on the fly there. I didn't do a very good job. We were all in awe. When Catherine talks of chess and classical music, Jim mentions how Schumann wrote in code. Or was it Brahms? Both really, the love part. And George postulates the eclipse today was code for a post-Newtonian awakening. Like the Cardinals that joined in song while he played Native American flute, a moody Norwegian woods-esque version of sunrise, sunset, replete with the same petrichor odors we all noticed earlier as the moon cradled in the sun's bed, and then continued on her garden path as if nothing happened. As the horses came out and the great horned owl swooned back to its roost, and a young vixen hurried her 4 kits to safe darkness of a nearby culvert. We finished the red wine and brie as Mike reads his Hawaiian Shirt Massacre poem, and then all of us split for home in the best post-eclipse manner we suddenly think we know. So, a few things about this poem. A cutthroat is a kind of a trout. Menahem Pressler was a piano professor down here at IU, and I'm not very good at speaking French words, but name of the piece in this is The Trout in French. The Trout. I am listening to Schubert again and leaping in time. Today it's his piano quintet, Die Forelle, French for trout, the fish fairly jumping from the stream as it rushes by, the music so bright and buoyant, like the yellow streak in the Flathead waters, a cutthroat there, then not. I blinked, it flicked its tail, the water rippled, and I was gone. Seems we needed each other to be present in that one moment. Its scales casting an arc of joy, my awe at its brilliance, making the light around it shimmer. No way was it going to be my breakfast. The morning air shivered, the needles of lodge poles thinning as summer began to lose hold. I have read that every thousandth of a second, my body will remake itself. Within those moments, I am not here, but rather off somewhere imagining a new existence. The trout music has landed me on the Gallatin or on Last Chance Creek with their smooth gravel bottoms, their shaded bends. Then I'm back to the Clark Fork leading me north, a rainbow trout on my plate at the Apgar restaurant, which isn't there anymore, having blinked my eyes too many times. Like old Menahem Pressler, who taught piano at my state's university and is now dead, who runs his fingers through Schubert's score like the trout across ivory pebbles. He's floating at age 90 in Paris, while the quintet strings swim the dark pools and run the cascades. Then we all sweep toward the sea, which, if I understand Leibniz, is not there, but will be by the time I get there. So last night I went to the Bluebird for the first time. I'm not from here. And saw 6 Foot Blonde. This poem came out of having dinner with 2 tall women at the Midwest Writers Workshop on successive nights. They both referred to their hands, and somehow this poem came out of it. Stars falling from stars. On her desk, a small black postage scale for weighing letters, with 2 flat enamel plates, each inscribed with a gold leaf circle around the edges, and lettered with the name of its manufacturer in Paris. The plates, the size of her hands, she refers to as large, in the way that her long, thin fingers can wrap around my heart. And there are tiny weights in a tray recessed in the base to counterbalance the envelope, which holds the scented paper inside with her words written to me years ago when we were young and frolicking before we forgot we were in love. The way stars falling from stars toward the earth misremember their path, or the earth turns its back on lovers, much as dreams will fade as we open our eyes. We have a physician up in Muncie who's also a musician in the Iowa Hall of Fame, Music Hall of Fame. He's got a band that plays up at this spot in Muncie on Friday nights. Doc's band at Common Market on the night of the eclipse, which would have been a year ago this month, September. It's like jiving in a Paris jazz joint, chock-a-block with messy souls who ride the blues train for long hot days at the end of summer, sipping local beer and all eyes on the band like religion. The alabaster rock up in the sky quartering above us for a while. Emily in her flowing moo-moo and big welcome smile rustles chairs enough for everybody, and we join in the music and juke. Madison in bleach white linen riding pants and loose top belts a low growl as Doug plucks fire from the frets of summertime, the dry night, breathing in the last little Chicago air down the street from the old Chevy plant before fall walks through the door. But not quite yet. Not while our friend called Al bops up from Doc's Ivories like we're all cruising in Bel Airs down Hoyt Avenue as we dance in place the way watermelon men hawk slices of life, sweetness dripping down Ivy's beard as he sings some soul, and then towers over us like his whole drum kit, and then towers over his whole drum kick, the same as Fats Domino would dwarf a piano. This man is wrecking us in a good way, and we soar until Dave wanders in late, but on time on sax, and the room gets real low in the dark and high on jive, and the street outside empty, because we're all in here singing amen as Woody blows his harp like he never has blown before. This place so dirty, it's great. And we say, as we pack up and leave, man, that old moon up there, he ain't moved a lick all night, and sweet Jesus, we were right. Well, I'm going to follow the rules and be family oriented here. Let's change the word. This title word just came to me one night. I have no idea where it came from. I don't think it's a word. Mud putter. I follow the river upstream like a surgeon going home. I've said that word wrong. I follow the river upstream like a sturgeon going home. Measure my paces mile by mile because I'd rather count in 12s than 10s. I used to do yoga in early morning hours, chant Om and Hare Krishna, have a good breakfast, rolled oats and prunes. Now I hum late into night, eat your kisses, and roast sweet potatoes, watch the setting of the moon. Maybe life will repeat as we near death, the way Bly has a habit of staying for lunch and chewing his lines over and over. Each spring we collect sap rising from box elder and yellow birch. Autumn it's gourds, then snowdrift for water. In this slip between bogland and the end of glaciers, the old barn sails like a ship on the sea around us, collecting all the small creatures of my existence. Whether by 2s or 10s or 12s, no matter, it's the reckoning that becomes important. One day we will find lions on the seashore. I've been thinking about reading these poems for a while, and I guess this is the year. So I'm not very good with prompts. I tried a prompt one day after I hadn't been writing and said write a letter, and it was horrible. So I decided to write a letter as a woman, which probably is a bad idea, but here it is. These are letters from Prue to Theo. Rome. Dear Theo, Rome is hot already, and I have finally lost the chill of winter that you say still grips the Midwest. Remember how you told me to drop the 7 stones of pain you say I carry? Believe me when I tell you, I've shed so many layers of clothes, I've got no pockets to keep them. I feel like a new woman. Spring break is where the boys are for sure. Or is it just Italy? The French guys are complete bores, but the homeboys have been sweet. Pear trees blossomed, and yesterday I found Sisyphus, the lotus tree in Greek myth, couch-shaped with really spiky branches. Stop swimming in the 7 seas of woe, you said. Come to your senses and come home. I've had a change of heart, and I'm going to stay on a while longer. I'm already forgetting you. Prue. Pisa. Dear Theo, I never knew the tower had a curvature like my back. I should have known damaged goods when I saw it. After the 3rd story, they knew it was leaning, so the upper levels are built taller on one side than the other. A compensation. Like after the accident when I had to learn to walk again. You told me once you wrestled with your father, but that's a fight a son can never win. Shattered bedrock, you said. Here the ground's too soft to support a tower. Lead weights at the base on the high end pull opposite its natural tendency. You are that counterweight at my feet. I'm not sure I like it anymore. Not steadfastness, just dead weight. I feel a lightness here, an ease to breathe. The Dolomites. Dear Theo, the trees in the Italian Alps grow so close together that when you see sky, it means rain is coming. When you can't, it means the rain is already here. Could be this is where Stradivari got the spruce for his violins, if not Switzerland or Croatia. The trees grow slow and the heart of the wood resonates. I felt it, just the way my limbs hummed when I first met you. I went to a local church with an onion-domed steeple in the middle of the afternoon. No one else was there. You know I'm not a prayer, but when the bells rang, I felt it again. I thought the nuns had ruled out such feelings. You helped me, but then our little ice age set in. It's cool here this morning. Le Corbusier called these mountains the most beautiful architecture in the world. Come home, you say, but I don't know where that is. Prue. Leaving Rome. Dear Theo, Rome is no city, but a great old dame who, for all her beauty and grandeur, tears at her own breast. Robert Lowell wrote, "Search for Rome in Rome. Oh, traveler, in Rome there is no room for Rome." I miss a kind word in my ear, a soft touch on the shoulder. You were always good for that. I'm beginning to see. All roads lead to Rome, but I am leaving. No room for me there. Baudelaire wrote, "See on these canals those sleeping boats whose mood is vagabond. I have no plan, I'm just heading out." That's the end of those.
It's right there.
What is it?
Whatever that bug was that was flying around you.
Okay. Is it gone?
I don't want it to sting you. No, it's still there.
Okay. Yeah, it must be okay.
There you go.
Yeah. Go.
It's still like cuddly.
a fan of poetry. Okay, my last poem. I don't write much political, so this is almost. Notes from the hinterland. Somber days, gray after solstice. So many people here in the far reaches, enough of them to make the world want to tip over. I have spent the afternoon tooling bird designs in my new leather belt, like most of us, hunkered down, waiting for winter to rear up. My granddaughter draws us as marshmallows melting in hot cocoa. Happy, I can hear us singing. I'm almost dizzy. Along the river above the falls, an otter is eating roots, droll and fat. He has made time stop and sunlight play through the mist. I am a fool of the tarot, but these are different kinds of fools here. The night pokes their ribs while barbarians try to uproot their foundations. I wish I could say people might get over it. Learn not to throw rocks. There might be days they too are light enough to grow wings. Say, Jeffrey, come fly.